Do you have trouble waking up in the mornings? It can be especially difficult if you need to wake up before the sun starts to rise. The Philips HF3520 helps brighten up your bedroom to help you wake up more naturally in the mornings. To better illustrate the value of this product, this is my typical morning. Sometime way too early in the morning before the sun rises and it's still pitch black in my room. Now this is my typical morning with the HF3520. A much brighter morning and a nicer way to wake up in the mornings. The HF3520 will gradually brighten your room over 20 to 40 minutes before you need to wake up, and this is really the main feature of the device. If you need something like this in your morning routine, then this might be your solution. But if you don't have this problem with the lack of daylight in your morning, then this is basically an expensive alarm clock for you. So now you know the main feature of this device, let's quickly walk through the other controls and operations of the Philips HF3520. Starting from the front of the device is a circular dome-shaped design, and it's made from a glossy plastic material. On the front, you'll see that the clock display glows in an orange light. This clock face cannot be turned off, but it does have an ambient light sensor, so it will allow the display to automatically dim and brighten slightly for the ambient lighting. This ambient light sensor is missing from the lower end models, such as the HF3510, and is one of the main reasons I prefer this higher HF3520. The front also has a couple touch capacitive buttons for scrolling through the menus, but I'll go through the menu later in this video. And finally, the rest of the front is also touch sensitive and can be tapped to snooze the alarm sound in the mornings. Next, we have the hard buttons across the top of the device, and these buttons can be incredibly annoying and you'll often end up pressing the wrong ones accidentally. Starting from the left, you have the first alarm button to turn the alarm on and off, and you'll note that you can only set a time for the alarms and you cannot schedule alarms on a weekly basis for specific days of the week. You'll either have to turn on or off the alarm for the next day, so you'll need to make sure the alarm is always on before you sleep. The next set of buttons are for controlling the light. The HF3520 uses LED technology for illuminating the room and is incredibly bright. The brightness level of the light can be adjusted up or down between 20 discrete steps of brightness. The next set of buttons are for turning on the FM radio and turning the audio noise up or down. Next, you have the second alarm button on the right side of the device, and this is handy because I like to wake up later in the morning on weekends, and since you can't program alarms per days of the week, I use alarm 1 strictly for programming weekdays and alarm 2 for weekends to get around this problem. And finally, the dusk simulation button. You can think of this as the opposite of the sunrise simulation mode. You set a period of time before you want to sleep, and the light will gradually dim and turn off after the timer elapses. The back of the device is fairly basic. You have the speaker, an antenna for the FM radio, and a plug for the AC adapter. This device is strictly powered by an AC adapter, but one nice feature is that if you do lose power, when the power does come back, it will remember the time and settings, so short blackouts are not a major concern for this device. So let's go back to the front and quickly look at the basic menu settings. There are 5 different settings in the menu: alarm 1, alarm 2, the alarm noise, clock settings, and clock contrast level. For the alarm settings, you can set the alarm time, the max brightness level for the sunrise simulation, and the alarm audio level from 20 all the way down to 0. So if you want to use this alarm strictly for the light feature, you can. You can also set completely different settings for alarm 2, but I won't demonstrate that. For setting the alarm noise, you can choose from using the FM radio or from the selection of 5 different natural alarm noises that vary from beach noise to birds to instrumental noises. If you want to hear all the different types of noises, I linked another video with all the noises in the description below. The clock setting is pretty self-explanatory and can be configured in 12-hour or 24-hour display format. And finally, the contrast level allows you to adjust the brightness level of the clock face. So that's a really quick overview of the Philips HF3520 wake-up alarm clock. As I mentioned earlier, the main feature of this device is the sunrise simulation functionality. And I'll be honest, this device has a lot of areas for improvements. From the annoyingly small buttons on the top and the inability to schedule alarms on a weekly basis, but it does do a great job at the sunrise simulation and brightening up my room in the mornings. And that's all I really need this device to do for me in the mornings. And for that reason alone, this device has forever changed my wake-up routine. And I highly recommend it if you have difficulty waking up in the mornings because it is still dark outside.